Welcome to A Funny Thing Called Business, where four business owners with over 30 years collective experience under our belts share the capers and triumphs of running a small business and how we now avoid perilous customer chaos and pitfalls. I'm Kate Curry. We also have
Darren Langley.
Pete Morgan.
And welcome to our wonderful guest, Anita Ellis, who is also our podcast sponsor. So welcome, Anita.
Thank you.
And today we're talking about traditional marketing.
Right, just very quickly, sorry, why are you speaking? Is Kate, is Claire...
Is that not my normal voice?
Is Claire not here? Is that why it's you, Kate, and not...
So Claire is in court. We believe it's jury service, and she's not on trial for anything strange.
Brilliant. I love it.
So she has asked me to step in today. So you lucky people have now got me manning the ship.
Womaning the ship, thank you.
Personing the ship.
That explains all the water around her feet.
We're going to just slowly sink over the next 30 minutes, so please bear with us.
So I'm awfully sorry, Kate. What were we talking about again?
So today the topic is traditional marketing, and this is, according to my Google search, to make sure that we are absolutely talking about the right things here, is really anything that's sort of offline, so traditional marketing. So our first question, what is your favourite memory or experience in relation to traditional marketing? And who would like to kick us off?
I'll go first.
Yes, here we go.
Straight in. So
this is it, jumping in.
So this is a bit embarrassing because it resulted in me getting fired. It was a long time ago. It was my first job after I graduated, and I was asked to do a mail merge. I'd never done a mail merge before in my life.
Is that kind of some sort of sexual technique?
Yeah, do people even still do mail merges? I really don't know. So I was doing this mail merge and printed off all the letters, and I spent hours stuffing these letters into envelopes. There were literally hundreds. And once I'd done them all, I realised that the first line of the address was missing on every single envelope. I was absolutely mortified. And when I went into work the next day, my manager sat me down and basically fired me on the spot for it.
What?
And I was really young. I was really inexperienced. I was absolutely mortified. So I think that's put me off doing direct mail for life.
But that's just them not explaining how to do things. Probably you can't just expect somebody to know this stuff.
Yeah.
See, and I think if I'd have been a little bit younger, I'd have thought, I'm just going to post them out. Yeah. Well, the management aren't going to know. Yeah. They've gone out. Just not arrived. That's not my problem. That's the postal service's problem.
Yeah. The worst thing was he said, you're going to have to get rid of all these letters. So my dad had to come pick me up, and I had a black bin bag with all these letters stuffed in them, and I had to, go
you
and
should have gone to his house and put them all through his letterbox.
Yeah.
Embracing traditional marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the now me would definitely do something like that. But I was very young and inexperienced, and it knocked me. So yeah, I can laugh about it now.
Yeah. So who was the name of your manager?
That's great. Because I'm quite late to that, as is normally the case whenever we talk about this. I'm kind of the baby business owner of the group. So I think the one that stands out to me, or the kind of the favourite one, is that's what you were asking for, kind of a favourite memory or experience.
Yeah, what stands out for you?
So what I like to do is send out things by post to clients at Easter and at Christmas, just as a thank you for being a client and kind of working with us. I'm always incredibly appreciative. And last year we came up with the idea of having a podcast advent calendar. So it was And the way it ended up being was that it was effectively a small cardboard box that was being delivered with 24 paper bags inside. Each of them had certainly one chocolate, maybe two chocolate in each.
But mine only had one, so
right.
I don't know whether there was any favouritism going on.
Every bag had one chocolate in each.
Well, I didn't get one, Darren, so
Okay,
no.
that's fine.
And in each bag as well, there was a card with a QR code on it that linked to a particular podcast episode. So it was kind of a way of every day you listen to a new podcast or listen to a new podcast episode. And I mean, it was such a pain in the neck to put together. And look, because I'd kind of decided to do the logistics of it about kind of late November. So it was buying everything, but then just that laborious conveyor belt thing of, right, a bag, you know, and a
podcast.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
put a podcast in a bag?
Exactly. So, you know, I'd got a little card, so I'd got the special paper, I'd printed them all out, cut them all up into the different cards, because that was the thing. On the 16th of every month, the podcast episode was that client's podcast. So it was what I felt was like their best episode of the year.
Right.
And it was just the laborious kind of nature of it. And then one of the results of it was the first podcast on December the 1st was a brilliant podcast by Danny Robbins. It was on Radio 4 called The Battersea Poltergeist, which, is a ghost story. And a number of people listened to December the 1st, got scared by it, and never listened to the other 23. Isn't that right, Kate Curry?
I couldn't go to the loo on my own for about 3 days. I texted you and went, is this true? And you went, yes, it was on national news. I was like, right.
But, I mean, as much as it was laborious, I really enjoyed doing it, and I really like doing that because I think there's something... I think with that traditional form of marketing, you know, there's something lovely and warm about getting something from, either from a client or from a supplier or, you know, a subcontractor or whatever. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the chocolates, so, you know.
Exactly. Everyone wins.
Yeah.
I thought it was a brilliant idea when it landed. And so I've got a couple of questions for you about this, though. So how long did this actually take? And how many did you send out? I mean, was this like days of work?
Yeah, it was. It was because it was just that, the cutting and the printing and the sourcing and
was there any sauce in there?
But it was like finding boxes that they could fit in, and
I still have the box.
finding,
I use the box still
Yeah.
now. Yeah, it's useful.
and finding the bags and finding the clips for the bags and making sure, you know, are they Christmas themed, and then making sure you were buying enough chocolates.
Did you eat any of the chocolates when you were...
No, not when I was
together?
doing it afterwards. If there was any left, if I got to the end of like, I'm going to do these 6 or 7, I'm going to do these 7, then I'm going to stop for the day. At the end of that, if there was a couple left, it'd be straight in. It took me. It probably took me because at the same time I was doing what I normally did of editing and producing, so I was still doing the same kind of work output. It probably took us the best part of a week.
Wow.
So my next question, based on that, I don't know what I'm going to ask. What were you wanting to get from it, and did you get that?
It was kind of this, and I think this is the problem, and I think this shows my naivety as a business owner. Initially, and this is genuine, I just wanted to do it as a thank you and as a nice thing of, there you go, here's some podcasts I really enjoy listening to. Please feel free to be scared to go to the bathroom for 3 days. You know, and genuinely, it was, maybe curated is too kind of highfalutin a word, but I really chose them properly. So there was a particular podcast that I'd think, oh yeah, it's a great podcast, but which episode am I going to choose? And I'd kind of go through, even if it wasn't like the client's one on the 16th, I'd kind of go through and think, oh, actually, that was a really good episode. I think that's really, you know, it's really funny or it's really thought-provoking. And I would kind of put that in. What it did do, which is generally what happens when I send stuff out. So for Easter, I sent Cadbury's cream eggs other cream eggs are available. No, they're not. It's just Cadbury's that make them. I sent out Cadbury's cream eggs in a little cardboard monkey that kind of was, it could be posted flat, and you just kind of pop it open and the little Cadbury's cream egg sat in the middle of it.
I was going to say, how do you make a cream egg flat?
just the monkey. And what happened, and you know, it happened with the advent calendar, is people posted online about it. Mm-hmm. They were like, "Oh my God, this is very different," which, you know, it was. I think we've all had the corporate Christmas card, or, you know, maybe a bottle of something, or a bauble. Who's putting a branded bauble on the tree? Oh yes, the people who give me my electronic IT support. Let me put their bauble on the Christmas tree.
Funny you say that though, but my Ritz Hotel bauble that I got in the Ritz when I designed the website for the Ritz, I put that on the tree every year with pride.
For the Ritz?
I did the website for the Ritz, and my payment was a Christmas bauble.
That's how good the website was.
So it kind of achieved what I wanted. It was kind of making the clients happy, but getting them to kind of do the non-traditional marketing for me, which is what they did. You know, not all of them, you know, and their names have been noted.
Didn't you do something similar, Kate, with a funky campaign through the post?
Well, I've done a few over the years, yeah, and I think they're brilliant. I think non-traditional marketing, when everybody's so focused on online, you know, website statistics and social media data and how it's all performing, that kind of stuff, which is great, but it all has to form part of the mix. So if you do post something out, you really stand out, you know, in the noise, and to give someone like a piece of paper, something tangible to hold that they might keep. Like, I've still got all my QR codes from all those podcasts. When I finally recover from the poltergeist one, I'm gonna listen to the rest of them.
It brings a new element to fear marketing, or, you know, scare marketing tactics.
Yeah, so I've done a couple, and I think it's really good to understand like why you're doing it, but and like what your measure of success is as well. You know, how do you know if all the time and effort you put into it is worth it? Do I do that? Probably not as much as I should. But I sent out like a Valentine's campaign, and it was just like a box of chocolates wrapped up, and with a card that says "We love you," with a little, you know, arrow saying "We love working with you." Which I hope was received in the correct way by everybody, and they're not just going like, "Oh, she's
stalker."
Our relationships moved on somewhat from the professional level. That
just people turning up outside the office with big bunches of flowers. I love you too.
Just rubbing their thighs, like, oh. But what I wanted from that
mean you sent those to other people as well as me, Kate? I mean, I thought it was like a personal...
Yeah. Well, just be grateful you got one.
But what I really wanted to get from it is for people to understand like how much I genuinely loved working with them, and that I'd go to the effort of like just posting something out, and pretty much everybody who received one did a post online and sort of tagged me in, and for me that was like, you know, mission accomplished. You know, it's meant enough to somebody to take that action. So so that's probably one of my favourite ones.
I think that's the nice thing about traditional marketing as well, how it can cross into online marketing, because actually something that you send offline then prompts someone to take a picture of it, and then it becomes online. Yeah. So it kind of spans both, you know, both elements without you having to, you know, to do that.
If I'd just sent them an email going, "I love working with you," and they'd have been like, "All right."
Is a voucher for some chocolates.
Yeah.
That's not going to incite a stalker, is it? You know, that's not going to get anybody turning up at your place of work with bunches of flowers. No.
I do have a kind of a reverse story that is in the kind of direct marketing and chocolates realm, where I love getting stuff through the post too. Not that I very often do, but I did get sent some direct mail, which was, I won't say who it was from, but in a way it backfired, but it was still memorable, so it kind of worked. But it was through the mail, which was supposed to have a boost bar in, and the accompanying text was like, "Enjoy your boost bar," and it's all about giving you a boost, which was a great idea. Except I think maybe the postie got a bit peckish on the way around and stole the boost bar, ate it, and so I got a letter that said, "Enjoy your boost bar," and it's like, I would do, but I'm not a boost bar.
Did he get the wrapper? Did he leave the wrapper?
Didn't even leave a wrapper or a crumb or one of the little biscuits out the middle. I got nothing, so it was kind of disappointing in that respect, but obviously memorable because I remember it, and I went out and bought myself a boost instead. So it was a happy ending.
So the action that they were hoping you would take,
it was from Cadbury's. Yes, it was from Cadbury's. That's right.
They've inadvertently advertised Boost there instead of their own big business.
Yeah, they were saying, go out and enjoy your Boost bar. Yeah.
Get off your ass and go. Go to the shop.
Did you miss the little arrow that was like Kate's working with?
Yeah.
Is that what it?
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah.
So what do you wish you had known or done differently at the beginning of your business with regards to traditional marketing?
I think known the power of it and used it properly. Like I say, with the, there was no aim with the advent calendar beyond just doing a nice thing for clients. But I would have liked to have known or thought it through to the point of, right, what is the aim of what we're doing here? What do we want people to feel and take on and do when I send them this? So that for me is the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really good to have a plan, because when you put so much effort in, if you're going to spend a week putting chocolates into bags and cutting out bits of card and things like that, you need to be like, well, how is this going to result in a benefit for me and my business, further down the line? Is the metric going to be my clients stay with me, or they're going to sort of like reach out and thanks so much, and it's sort of understanding what those are to make it.
I think it's worth having a couple of goals as well. I think you could have like an end goal, which is, in an ideal world, it will result in 5 new clients. But I think you could always have some kind of softer goals as well, in terms of, actually, I'd love to get a certain number of people posting about it online, or I'd love to get a referral from it. And I think if you've got a few goals, even if you don't hit your ultimate goal, you'd still feel like it was a success.
On a slight tangent, mine is to be a little bit less of a mug, because in connection to that, having a plan is great, but sometimes, and I'm thinking more about maybe print advertising, that kind of side of traditional marketing, people call you up and they're like, do you want to advertise in our magazine? It's like, okay, I don't really, but it's like, well, I think we're going to reach all these people. And then they talk you into advertising. You put in one advert, which has cost you X number of hundreds of pounds. And of course, one advert is not a strategy. You've not got a plan, you've got no goals, and you're just a few hundred quid. A few hundred quid worse off. And it's nice to see your logo in print, sure, but if it's not going to do anything because it's not actually part of a strategy, don't get suckered into it, is kind of my first-hand learning from that, which, fool me once and all of that, but I've probably done that several times.
Fool me 6 times.
And I'm really getting the hang of this now.
Is everything going like special offer? It's half price. You're like, FOMO.
By the way, my phone number is... No.
I did an ad and they got the company name wrong. They missed an M off lexicon, so that was my my experience.
Yeah.
But definitely been there and done that. I think you're right. It has to be consistent, doesn't it? You have to be in those magazines, week in, week out, month in, month out, with a different message. Doing it as a one-off, it just never works. Like any marketing, really.
And the funny thing is, I've had success with print advertising before. I mean, I did literally do that, where I was running an ad in a magazine. I won't say what magazine. It's not a top shelf one, but it was. But it was a consistent every month, and it did get business, and it did help me build up my little side aspects of my business, and so it does definitely work, but only because it's one of those things that people have to see more than once to get any kind of traction.
How many touch points is it now that people need to
256.
see?
Oh wow.
255. They're just not going to get anywhere.
Not going to get it. No. That 256th one. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah. I think I absolutely agree that traditional marketing has to work as part of the broader mix. Yeah. So you can't just do one element of your marketing. You need to be everywhere. You can't just sort of stand out on the street wearing your sandwich board and pointing to it. You need to also be doing other things as well, because Otherwise, you're just not going to get the.
But what if you enjoy standing out with the sandwich board? I mean,
If you get other people to point at you in your sandwich board, maybe.
that does happen
Oh,
quite
to
a
be
bit.
fair, if you're walking down the street in a sandwich board, people are going to be pointing at you.
Especially if you're like dressed as a hot dog as well.
I love that. No, what a great little detail that is. Not just me with a sandwich board on. No, I'm dressed as a hot dog. Is your business anything to do with hot dogs? No. No, just like it. I've got this costume, had it in the wardrobe for years. Couldn't think of a reason to wear it. I have one now.
She's a vegetarian too, so.
They're vegan hot dogs.
Oh, a vegan hot dog.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Vegan hot dog.
They technically look the same. You just
They
have to trust they've given you the right one.
That's false advertising, Kate.
This episode is sponsored by Lexicon, a copywriting agency that will make your marketing ooze with personality. Ready to ditch the corporate BS and stand out from your competitors? Lexicon will craft words that make your personality pop off the page. Grab your ideal customer by the eyeballs and persuade them to do business. Book a free amp-up session for clarity on how to make your marketing work harder. Visit lexicon.co.uk or follow Anita Ellis on LinkedIn.
So, in one sentence, can you share what you've learned about yourself or your business with traditional marketing and your experience with it?
Nope.
You see, he wouldn't say that with Claire.
I know, yeah. I feel like, I've been let off.
I know,
let off
look at the
hook here.
rebellion in his eyes, Kate.
I feel like a supply teacher when
Yeah, we're
the
all...
kids rebel.
No, teacher, lets us do this. Lets us answer back all the time.
Yes, Pete, stop flicking ink at Darren.
The other teacher lets us do it.
Darren, stop slouching. Sit up, concentrate.
I think the quality of direct marketing, or the stuff that I receive, is really pretty poor. So I think for me, it's that actually there's massive scope for doing it well. I think you can really stand out if you just take the time to do something decent and do it properly.
Yeah.
Like the examples that you've both explained with, and you did a Lego campaign, Kate, anything like that, the opportunity to stand out is huge because there's basically so much awful stuff out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, it's traditional marketing is a really quite unique opportunity to showcase your creativity and be really different. And because online, okay, you can do you can do a GIF or something like that, or a little animation or some video or something. You're kind of sort of limited really with what sort of materials are at your fingertips to use, but with traditional marketing, you can literally use anything. You can dress up as a hot dog. There's anything you can use. There's like guerrilla marketing. You can do there's flash mobs and stuff like that. There's literally anything you can do. So, I think for me, it's a great way to be really creative with the way you put your message out there.
Did Cadbury's take it too literally when they did guerrilla marketing?
Yes, they misread the brief there.
They misspell that.
When I first heard that term, I literally did think it was
a
people
gorilla.
dressed as
I did.
gorillas. Yeah.
When I was younger and they talked about gorillas, and I'm like, gorillas? Because I'd seen Planet of the Apes, and I was like, oh, so Planet of the Apes is like a documentary. Oh dear.
What about you, Pete? Then what's your sentence?
The thing I've learned, I think, is that I really like my clients, and I like kind of doing things for them. That was my I think we all speak to other business owners if we go to networking events where they're like, oh, we'd have such a good time without clients, or clients are a pain in the neck. And it's like, I really like my clients. And I wanted to do, and I think I appreciate, Anita, you didn't get one of the advent calendars. It's because you're not a client. Crack on. But I would have, and at one point I did consider kind of widening it out to
I could be a client, Pete.
Exactly.
I could be a client.
This whole podcast is just a marketing pitch, not a sales pitch.
If you want a nice present from Pete, sign up to his podcast. Of course.
But I had thought about going, so just outside the clients to kind of, some of the big networking people that I'd connected with and stuff, and adding that. But then when I started making that list, and it was like, it's just too many. and I can't do it. So it will just have to be clients. And, again, not kind of bragging, but that was enough. That was more than enough to go. But I think, like I say, the thing I've learned is I just like making clients happy, which is I realise that's a bit weak and not very
scaring them.
Yeah, of course. And not very kind of hard-nosed business owner approach, but that's... Yeah.
I think that's what works, though, because I think when people can see that it's not an overtly salesy technique and approach, that's far more effective than getting something and thinking, I know exactly why they've sent me this pen or, whatever. So,
Christmas ball.
Yeah.
I think for me, my sentence would be that in kind of a world of digital marketing and artificial intelligence, the notion of traditional marketing has definitely not died, and it's, in some ways it's more powerful than it was before because fewer people are doing it. And it is nice to get something in the post, or sometimes it is nice to see your company represented in print and things like that. So it still has to be a really important part of what people are doing as marketing. It's not just about SEO and Facebook ads or whatever else. So, yeah.
Is it, obviously, primarily, Darren, both you and I work in the digital space. That's, pretty much what we do. What we do can't be transferred into physical in any way, whereas it can with you, Kate, and it absolutely can with you, Anita. So I'm interested with Darren to know if that changed your approach to traditional marketing of, well, listen, my business isn't, my business is online. Surely all my marketing should be online.
Not really, because I don't think it really matters. I think if you think of someone like Amazon or something like that, that's a very online business. There's still a lot of, how many boxes have got Amazon on the logos on the side of them? It's not necessarily part of their, or maybe it's part of their marketing in a way because it's brand recognition. But I don't think it stops us from doing things. And actually, I've had ideas for traditional marketing, things that I've not really gotten around to exploring, but it's quite nice for a company that's, in the digital space to actually take a step out of that and reach people that aren't in the digital space. Because if you're already kind of doing a lot online, then maybe you don't need us. But if you're doing a lot offline, maybe you do, as well, as part of the marketing. And for me, as much as anything, I think I probably miss the yellow pages, but that's nostalgia.
That's like predates traditional marketing.
I don't know that they're still doing some sort. We had a phone book through.
We had a phone book
literally
through,
a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't believe it.
No,
a phone pamphlet.
Well, no, it was. It wasn't the full.
No, very thin.
Stack, but it was there, and I thought I was really shocked.
Yeah.
Back in business owners I've spoken to over the many years that I've been in business, whose businesses predate digital, back in the 80s, they're like, we used to get all our business from the Yellow Pages.
Really?
Just pay for an ad in the Yellow Pages. That's all we had to do. And it's like, can you imagine a world where you just have to pay for an ad in the Yellow Pages?
Yeah.
Isn't that why Apple chose the name Apple, because it began with an A and they'd be one of the first businesses to be listed, in things. I'm sure I've read that somewhere.
Well, Acorn would probably for them, but
can you verify?
Look what good that did them.
That's those verifying. Please just edit it out if I'm wrong. I've got a lot of wrong information in my head.
We always
so
fact check this.
out.
So we always fact check.
Always fact check. Of course it is. Not at all.
I thought you were going to say that because yellow pages and like yellows and bananas and Apple were wanted to pick a different colour or something random.
How did your brain go straight to bananas?
I don't know. Yellow.
Brilliant.
Now we know how Anita works.
Exactly.
Right, okay, so let's talk about challenges then. And what is the biggest challenge you have right now with traditional marketing in your business?
Well, one of my big challenges is that I wrote a chapter in a book 2 years ago and I bought 50 copies with a view of sending it out to all my lovely clients and prospects, and that box of books is still in my office.
Yeah.
So, I feel inspired after today's session. Maybe I'll go home and, I wrote a letter to go with it. I bought the envelopes that would fit the books in and everything, and then I just didn't do anything with it.
So what stopped you from getting them just posted out?
Was it a fear that you wouldn't put the first line of the address in?
Yes, it was. It was that. I'm scarred for life. I couldn't do it. I couldn't face doing the mail merge to print my labels.
Absolutely triggered. That's a real shame, though, isn't it? Because it's one of those things that we do as business owners, is getting to 90%, which is like
Absolutely.
the idea, getting it ready, getting it
written,
and it's just the last 10%, just getting it over the line and actioned.
Yeah, and it often is because of a fear. I'm probably frightened that actually the chapter's no good, and and that no one will read it or no one will enjoy it, and then that little bit just stops you delivering the last, the final 10%. So yeah. That's my job for today.
Oh, right. We'll all be checking our post boxes equally.
Maybe not. You see, maybe
let's not be presumptuous.
Well, exactly.
Well, no, Kate will, because she sent me the chocolates, but Pete, not so sure.
Fine.
I'm probably getting really petty with who gets what.
You have to give to receive around here.
Yeah, I tell you.
So, Darren, what about you? What's your biggest challenge?
It's similar, actually. It is about action, because I've been sitting on an idea for direct marketing for a while.
I know the one you mean, and I think you must have first mentioned that back in 1983.
I know, yeah, absolutely, probably was, yeah.
I won't reveal it in case you do actually one day.
Don't.
In the next
just
decade,
in case, because it could still happen. It could still happen. It is action. It is taking action and doing it, and because it does take a little bit more effort, And isn't that the whole point, though, that some things like maybe direct marketing, some traditional marketing, it is a bit more effort, but the reward is also potentially greater. Whereas sending out a tweet or something is easy to do, but forgotten quickly. So it's worth the effort, I think.
Yeah. I think it's the ability to personalise as well. You can really personalise. Whether you're sending out a case study with a quirky gift, or whether you're kind of taking the time to write a brochure. I mean, again, it's something that people perhaps don't do as well, but sometimes people like something tangible and physical to hold. But I think you can really personalise things, because you're doing especially as a small business owner, you can do a small number of something and you can really personalise it, and you just don't get that chance with online stuff.
No, absolutely. For me, it's originality of trying to come up with something that you think, right, I don't think anyone's done anything like that before. That, like we've said, is going to stand out. And I think that's probably my biggest challenge, because everything I come up with, I think, someone on Etsy can do that for me. So let's think of something that's just a little bit different, that really will stand out. Because obviously, so we're recording this in the middle of September, and I'm already starting to think, right, what can we do for Christmas?
The C word.
Get it mentioned. Don't do anything about it till after Halloween, obviously. But get it mentioned. Mariah Carey, where is she? Here we go.
Yeah. I think my challenge is, and maybe here's where I'm going to just talk about the Lego thing, which is probably my pinnacle of traditional marketing that I've ever managed to achieve. But it felt like a huge thing to take on. So for me, it's like the time and the effort to sometimes deliver on these things. I had the idea of posting out to contacts in the construction industry a Lego set that builds into my logo with a little card that goes with it that says, here's how we build brands. We start with the foundation, and then, we add on the roof, which is like, looking at your visual identity and all of that kind of stuff. And it was great. But then I was like, it has to form part of the mix. I have to have a whole list of who I'm going to send it to. And I was trying to send it to people outside of my network as well, which was challenging, because finding the right people to post it to, make sure I put the full address on there. There was so many...
I'm never going to live that down, am I?
Nope.
Oh, no.
There's so many moving parts to it. But I think once you've done one and you've got the template for it, it's easier to replicate after that, and you feel more confident with it. And how to sort of tie it in with your online stuff as well. So, I'm forever thinking of new ones, and then I'm like, there's a lot of there's a lot of effort, a lot of time required, and you've got to, buy things, get them printed, and like I said, it's managing the moving parts, I think, for me. But what you get back from it is absolutely worth it if you sort of execute it really well and plan it properly. I think it's a great way to like elevate your business and get your name out there. So, which brings us to question 5. Oh,
there's more questions. I'm sure there's not as many questions.
Last question. And my moment in the sun will be over. What are the silver linings for you guys then? What do you think you look forward to in the future with your business and the traditional marketing and how we utilise that?
I think it's that warm feeling we've talked about. I think that's the big silver lining, is that we know what that's like when we get something from, like we say, whether it's a supplier or a client.
As long as the postie doesn't steal it on the
exactly and eat it.
When
you get something, there is that real kind of warm feeling of that's, and I think that's the silver lining of doing it, of knowing that you're just initially, before there's any kind of business related effect to the marketing, that you've done that, you've kind of created, not saying you're changing people's lives with it, but just a nice kind of touch for the client. I think that's my silver lining.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I think it's that emotive connection you can build with somebody by sending something out, and you can't get that really with any other form of marketing, in my opinion, or not to the same degree. But somebody's taking the time, because you know how long it takes to package things up and post them out, and you can't help but when you receive something through the post or whatever, and you feel like sort of special, don't you? Yeah. Even though you later find out it also went to several other people. But we'll gloss over that, shall we? How about yours, Anita?
I think for me it's the same with any piece of marketing. The objective should be to make somebody smile. I think even if it is an online piece of marketing, I think if the intention behind it is to entertain or to make somebody smile or to make somebody feel good, I think there'll always be good results and good business off the back of that. And I think that's the lovely thing about traditional marketing, is it really does have the ability to make somebody smile.
I think it really does. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. Just that emotional sort of connection that you can generate through it. So, how about you, Darren?
I mean, it's with traditional marketing, I think, because it is now not the norm. It is less competitive in a sense that not as many people are embracing it, and because it does take a bit more effort, and you have to put a bit more into it. There's definitely opportunities there for businesses to do more in the traditional marketing, whether it's direct mail or advertising or flyers through the door, whatever it might be, guerrilla marketing, then take advantage of it and do it, but it does take that bit of effort. So
it's the unexpected, isn't it? It's the even with something as simple as a leaflet, you could write the thing that people just don't expect you to write, and it would have such a big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. It's harder. I mean, okay, it's harder to measure the metrics with digital marketing. It's all about it's so good because you can see how many people have clicked on it, or whatever. But you still don't know what the emotive response was, do you really, or what the how they really received. So, yeah, absolutely. I think it's wealth of opportunity. There we go. The yellow pages.
Very wise words. So, thanks, everybody. I think that's been really insightful and a really interesting chit chat, and I hope you've enjoyed your visit.
I have.
Today,
yeah, it's been
Anita.
fab.
No, thank you for joining us. So please share, subscribe and review so our fellow business owners can enjoy, be inspired and always keep focused on the fun side of business too.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.